Hi, and welcome to another video by Jimthecarguy. Today's project, we're going to be replacing the plugs on this 2011 Toyota Tacoma. Fairly easy job to do. You just need obviously a spark plug socket, a little extension, a ratchet, and probably like a 10mm socket to remove the air breather assembly itself. So let me grab some tools, and I'm going to show you exactly what we're going to be doing step by step. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to remove the top cover on top of the engine here so we can gain access to this side over here. Down underneath here is where we see the spark plugs. They're actually underneath these coils right here. So we're going to have to remove each one of these little 10mm screws underneath here, and we're going to take these coils out. 3 on this side and obviously 3 on the other side. This side here we're going to actually do it a little bit differently. We're going to just remove the air filter assembly. The air filter is in here too. We're going to remove this snorkel here so we can gain access to the plugs. So let me grab some tools and let's get started. All right, here we go. We're going to get started. Basically, we're just going to take this off. Remember what I told you about the sockets? So you're going to need a ratchet, an extension, and a 10mm. And then we're going to remove these 2 nuts right here, just so we can take this cover off, so we can have a little bit of better access to the coils. This switch just lifts up and comes right off the engine like that, fairly easy. Watch you don't lose those bolts though, we're going to need them. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this off on the side over here, so we can gain access to these coils. Once I get this off, I'll show you why. It's totally out of the way, so we have a little bit more room to work. Sometimes they get stuck on there. I just got to give them a little twist so we can get them out. I'll show you how clear a shot it is to get these out over here. Fairly easy. Once you have the air filter assembly out of the way, this is where your coils are. You have one here, and the other one is up in the front right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to just unplug these clips that are on here. I'll show you how you can do that. What you do is this little clip here, you just push down on this clip and it comes right off. Same thing here, push down, just rock it slightly and it comes right off. This one's a little bit tighter, so you may need a screwdriver to get in there. But we're going to try to do it without it. Push the clip in, just rock it, and it comes right out. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take these coils out right here. Just a little 10mm bolt on there. Same thing on this one here. And the final one. And then once you have them loose, then you can take them all out by hand. And then the coils come off fairly easy. You just turn them and rotate them and they come right out. Same thing on this side here. You just take it, turn it, and it comes right out. Same thing here. It comes right out. And those spark plugs are down inside these holes right here. So let me grab a spark plug socket and we're getting it in there. Different things you can use. I use a longer extension so I can get in there and get those out. But basically, once you have it on there, you just get on here with a ratchet and you can take them right out. I'm going to put the camera down so you can watch what I'm doing. You can loosen them up. Same thing here. Now I'm using a spark plug socket that's actually got a swivel on it. Makes it a little bit easier, but you can use a normal spark plug socket with just a regular extension too. It works just as well. And the last one. You unscrew them as far as you can, and then the way you're going to get them out of there is two different things you can do. One, you can get in there with a magnet, and you can lift it out with a magnet once you have them unscrewed, the way it is. The way I usually take them out is just take one of the coils, push it over the top of it, and you can pull the spark plug right out once you have them loosened up. Sometimes they will stick a little bit. You may have to just turn it a little bit by hand just to get them out. If not, you can get down there with a longer magnet, and you can remove it with the magnet. And then they just come right out. Right, let me get a light over here and I'll show you what these plugs look like and what the replacements are going to look like. Okay, now that we have the new plugs and we're getting ready to put them back in, I'm going to show you how these plugs come. Most of the time when you get these plugs, they usually have a collar around the top to keep them from getting the gap from getting closed up. But always check the gap just to make sure, because you don't want to put them in a vehicle and find out that somebody had dropped them and closed the gap up. This particular truck calls for a .39 to .43 to gap it, so what we're going to do is we're going to gap the plugs, and the way you do it is you just take your gapping tool, lots of different ones out there, and you put it in there and you slide it around until you get to in this case, .39 to .43, so we're going to go right in the middle there, around 40, .40 I should say. All right, as you can see, that's where we are right now. And we're just going to check each one of them just to make sure. And the last one we're going to check. Perfect, all right, so they're set. And the reason we're going to change them is because the electrode starts to wear down on the top right up in here. So we're just going to replace them. That's what the manufacturer recommends, that they be replaced at 30,000 miles. So, and as you can see, I know it's a little difficult. Let me get a better light. What they look like. The electrode in the top there is worn down, and you can see the electrode in the other one is actually like brand spanking new, nice clean angles. All right, so now we're going to put them back in the car. Fairly easy, or truck I should say. Fairly easy to do. Problem is you don't want to drop these plugs in there and close the gap up. And the way you're going to put these plugs in is you're going to take the plug very easily, put it in the top like that, put your finger down inside there and let the plug roll off the tip of your finger so it doesn't drop in and get dented or get closed by accident. All right, you just put it into the cylinder and let it roll all the way down to the bottom. Right? Then you tighten them in as far as you can by hand. Don't use a ratchet on it yet. You're going to tighten them down as far as you can by hand. But if you looked it up on the torque specs, it'll give you 15 foot-pounds of torque to tighten it down. So, right. Same thing with the others. We're going to screw them all in by hand first, as far as you can by hand, once you got it down as far as you can. Because the reason you're doing it by hand is you don't want to cross-thread it into the cylinder head. If you cross-thread it into the head, you're going to be having a big problem. You're going to wind up having to pull the heads off the vehicle, and you don't want to do that. Nice and tight. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to reinstall the coils that we previously took off, and you just push them on top and you drop them down, and you'll feel them slide over the top of the new spark plug. I always put the coils in the same place that I took them off. They go back into the same places. All right, then screw the 10mm all the way in as far as you can by hand. And again, the reason you're doing that is you don't want to cross-thread it. You don't want to damage them. All right, screw the other one down by hand also. All right, once you have them screwed down as far as you can by hand, then you come over with a ratchet and just tighten it down the rest of the way and snug it. And the last thing we're going to do, and I'll show you, last thing we're going to do is we're going to take the coils and we're going to plug the coils back on. And when you push them on, you push it in, you'll hear it snap in, and you know you're locked in. Same thing here, locked in. And the last one, locked in. All right, let's get the air filter back on, the air filter housing. And then we're going to go to the other side and we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. We'll get the other plugs in there. And that's it. Side one is completed. We're going to move to the other side now, and I'm going to show you how to do the other side. So let's get set up over there and get started. Side's a little bit more difficult to see, but it's basically the same procedure as the other side. We're going to reach in here with the 10mm socket, and we're going to remove those nuts off the top of the coils. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to unplug those harnesses that we had on the other side. So I'll try to do this the best I can so you can see what I'm doing. Again, you just push on the top there. You push the electrical connector in and you rotate it out of the way. Same thing on this one here. You got to get two hands in there, which is a little bit difficult to get in there with two hands. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in here and I'm going to push on it with a screwdriver, very little, and we're just going to pop it off after I push that little clip in. And after we push the clip in, and you can just pull the. It's a little bit difficult getting in there. So what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to push the clip in with a screwdriver, and I'm going to twist it and pop it up with another screwdriver because I can't get two hands in there. Those little 10mm screws to hold the coils in place. You'll probably have to get in here with a fairly long extension to gain access. Again. And what we're going to do is we're just going to relocate that bar just so we can get in there and get to that bolt and also the plug without causing any problems. All right, once you break it loose, you can just unscrew it by hand. We're not going to totally remove this. We're just going to loosen this a little bit so that we can rotate this a little bit out of the way like that. And now we have a clean shot down into there to get to that 10mm bolt down on the top there. I'm going to take them out. Don't drop them because you're going to need to reuse these again later. Same thing here. This side is a little more difficult, but by relocating that bar out of the way, it opens it up a little bit for you. All right, and once you got your plugs out, you can take your coils out just like we did on the other side. Okay, remember we talked about you can take it out with the coil, or you can get in there with a magnet. On this side here, maybe a little bit easier for you to get it out using a magnet. Same thing on the next plug back. Okay. Now all of our plugs are tight. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put our coils back on. Once you got the coils all in, you can feel them slide over the top of the plugs. Then you're going to put your 10mm bolt that holds the coil down to the valve cover. Screw it in by hand. Alright, and once they're tight, then you're going to plug your coils back on, and you're going to push them on until you hear the coil snap in place. It's a little bit difficult to get in there, but just make sure you hear that snap when it pops back in. That's one. That's two. And that's three. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to reattach that bracket that we previously disconnected so we can get in to get to those coils. Okay, so let's recap what we did now. We got the coils in, we got the plugs in, we have everything in there tight. The last thing we're going to do now is we're going to put that cover back on here, and then we're going to wrap this job up. So let me grab that cover and we'll put it back on. And we'll be getting this job out the door. Alright, the cover, when it goes back on, you have these little pieces here. They slide right over the top and the back there. And they just snap in place. And you push these over the top of these two pins. Screw these nuts on by hand. Once you got them screwed down by hand, just snug it down with the ratchet. That's it. Alright, that's it. Well set. Alright, I know it's a little bit rough to get into this side over here to do anything down in there, but I hope I was able to at least make it so you could see what was going on in here. Alright, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.